In 2017, the NFL had another young, promising quarterback. This quarterback was coming off an MVP caliber season. This quarterback had led his team to the first seed and then into the playoffs. This quarterback, before injury, most likely would have been voted the NFL most valuable player. The last game of the regular season, this player had torn his ACL, unable to play throughout the playoffs, where, in the end, his backup came in and won the Super Bowl. The next following years consisted of underwhelming play, missed opportunities, and doubts from the fans, doubts from the players, and doubts from the coaches. Rightfully so, his level of play was down. But now we sit here 5 years later, and Carson Wentz, the second pick in the draft of North Dakota State University, is now released, a pending free agent who most likely won't ever be a starter in this league again. How did this all happen so quick? That's what we all want to know. How did his level of play go down so much in that 2017 season? Well, that's a question that we all want to know as well. It's scary to think that all of this could have been rooted from injuries. Part of it attitude, part of it not getting along with fellow players and not winning over the locker room and not being touted as a leader. Carson Wentz was drugged through the ground on his last year in Philadelphia. How maybe he didn't show support to other players and possibly to Jalen Hurts, who was recently drafted. How him and Doug Peterson, the head coach at the time, didn't get along. There was so many different stories and whatnot coming out of different news outlets that really hit Carson Wentz's reputation, not only in the city, but nationwide, every fan base. Carson Wentz ended up being released by the Eagles following that 2020 season. Lost his job to Jalen Hurts. But he quickly, Carson Wentz, said, okay, let's go up back with the offensive coordinator who led me to an MVP caliber season and ended up going back to Frank Reich with Indianapolis. That was a one-year stint. He wasn't providing them what they needed. He wasn't good enough at that position, and he just wasn't getting it done on the field. Carson Wentz threw a lot of interceptions with the Indianapolis Colts, leading to his downfall. These interceptions weren't so 1v1 deep balls and you're allowing the wide receiver to make a chance. They were thrown directly to the defender. Especially, I remember in Vivid when they were playing, well, not Vivid, but I remember when they were playing the Jaguars, Carson Wentz did a ugly toss. I mean, a horrendously looking toss to exactly the defender. And I think right there and then, that moment, it was like, yeah, this guy's not it. And I think the Indianapolis Colts were, yeah, this guy's not it. And Frank Reich is his coach, that he isn't it. Following that season, the 2021 season, he's then traded to the Commanders, where in the first two games, he gets off to this kind of a hot start. He leads the league in yards and touchdowns, and, maybe the teams at the time weren't the best. But nonetheless, he was having a good two first games, quickly, in Carson Wentz style. The rest was history. He ended up getting injured, not playing for a while, coming back, throwing interceptions. It just, ever since that 2017-2018 season where he had an okay season, it's been down the spiral. It's been down the drain. And, now we're looking at it as the Washington Commanders have just released him, have just vanished him into thin air. And then the real question is, what's next for Carson Wentz? What's the next journey he's going to take? If I had to bet, if I had to make a little bit of a guess here, maybe he joins a backup position in Carolina with Frank Reich, possibly. Maybe he goes back up down in Atlanta or just a backup job somewhere. But in no real world is he going to be a starter anywhere. He's not good enough, and he's done. And looking back on it as an Eagles fan, you can celebrate that we made the correct choice. Now, like Carson Wentz here in Philadelphia back in that 4 to 5 year stretch, it was tough because I feel like they never really surrounded him with the correct weapons for him to prosper like they did Jalen Hurts, even getting A.J. Brown. I mean, they had Alshon Jeffrey, but at the time, Alshon Jeffrey wasn't the youngest guy. And, he, throughout his tenure here in Philadelphia, he always had thrown to a bunch of what they call practice squad players. Just players who, aren't big names or stars in the league. But, I mean, if you're a great quarterback, you can make that work. And there was some talent on the roster. So, saying he didn't have any weapons at all was wrong. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz were great for him. Carson Wentz just, he lacks the decision-making and the leadership is what I'm seeing here. The decision-making is his turnovers are horrible. He tries to play, victory ball, hero ball, and make that 40-yard pass down the field instead of doing an easy check down for a 5 to 10 yards on a 3rd and 5. He holds the ball for too long. He makes dumb decisions. When he's running out of the pocket and he thinks, again, he can play hero ball, he'll try to flip the ball to a defender or to an offensive player, but then ends up being a turnover. Carson Wentz's decision-making has led to both of his downfalls or all 3 of his downfalls. And at each team, he's had better supporting cast. At the Colts, he had Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. And then, with Washington, he had Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, all these guys. And he just could never make it work. Unfortunately, I do think this is the end of him ever starting again. The second pick out of NDSU had a great 2 years, but it's hard to really give him a chance again. Like, what team is going to give him a chance at a starting position after he's proven he can't be a starter after the last 2 years? And as an Eagles fan, it didn't end too bright here in Philadelphia. It ended quite hostile. Not hostile, but it just didn't end well. It wasn't like a good farewell. Every time he stepped out on a field to play, a part of me would say, maybe he'll turn it around, or maybe he'll turn it around, maybe he'll go back to that old form. And I'm not saying I hoped for it, but part of me saw like maybe that could happen. But again and again, I was proved wrong. Again and again, it wasn't going to happen. And yeah, this is it for Carson Wentz. I truly think moving forward, he'll go to the Colts, or not Colts, sorry, go to the Panthers, or go to, somewhere maybe where he knows a familiar coach so he can play backup. Probably not the Jaguars, because I don't think him and Doug Peterson are quite friends there. But I don't know. It's hard to say with Carson Wentz, but man, was he a waste of that big contract. He, the Eagles took the most dead cap ever, trading him. That sucked at releasing. That really sucked. But it's over with. Carson Wentz is no longer a starter currently. He's a free agent. I do kind of want to see what his market is, or if he's going to retire, because that's always an option. He can always retire. He's a multi-millionaire. But I look forward to seeing what's going to happen. There's definitely going to be maybe a little bit of a backup market. Like I said, I don't know, maybe a backup market, but I do look forward to seeing that. And our next show we'll go ahead and discuss that as well, definitely. But yeah, Carson Wentz is no longer a Commander, and his future's unknown. But I do not see him getting a starting position in the NFL. I just want to hop on, and I wanted to discuss the Carson Wentz release and kind of see where he may be going next. But take it easy, guys. This is Chase with Sportzer Media. Have a good one.